by Nick Stone. Of course. Cirque du Freak. Who's it by? Hey fellow fiction fanatics, I'm Chase. Welcome back to my channel. Since February is the month of Valentine's, I thought I'd talk about books that need more lovin', aka underrated books that I feel need to be read and appreciated a whole lot more. I'd love to know if you read any of these and what you thought of them, because I'd love to know that I'm not a fandom of one. So let me know in the comments down below. Alright, let's get into it. So the first books I have are the Books of Bayern. This is one of my all-time favorite series. This is the series that got me into reading and showed me the magic of books. This is the story of a princess who has been told her whole life that she will be queen. But then when her father dies, her mother declares her brother to be the heir to the throne. After the announcement, she turns to her mother and says, "You trained me my whole life to become queen. You've kept me away from my siblings. What are you talking about?" And her mother turns to her and says, "Yeah, you're gonna be queen, just of an entirely different kingdom." And she sends her away to marry a prince to form an alliance with the kingdom across the way. Things don't go exactly as planned as they head out to their destination. And that's just where the story begins, and it's so good. In this series, there's far-off places, daring sword fights, magic spells, a prince in disguise. It's so captivating. I loved absolutely everything about these books, and I am in dire need of a reread because I haven't in so long, and I want to be with these characters again. So definitely pick these up and let me know if you've read them, because I would love to gush about them with you. Next up, I have the Lorien Legacies. The first book is I Am Number 4 by Pittacus Lore. So the Mogadorians, who drained their planet of resources, tried to take over Lorien. 9 children were able to get away with their guardians and were sent to Earth. There was a charm placed on each of them so that if and when the Mogadorians came after them, they would have to be killed in a specific order. So instead of names, they were given numbers. In this first book, we're following number 4, and 1, 2, and 3 have all been killed. So this is number 4's story, and he goes by the name John Smith and is trying to pass as a normal high school student. But the thing is, they also have powers, and so he's coming into these powers and trying to keep them hidden, trying to stay alive, and it's so good, so action-packed. If you just want to know these characters' perspectives, you can just read the books. There's also 5 novellas that help you connect the dots a whole lot more and see the whole picture, so I definitely recommend reading those as well, because they add a whole lot more to the story. I'd love to know if you've read these, because this is one of both my favorites and my husband's favorite series, so definitely give this one a go. Up next, I have the Rangers Apprentice series. The first book is The Ruins of Gorlon by John Flanagan. So this is the story of Will, who becomes the Rangers Apprentice. The Rangers are the hidden heroes within the kingdom, and they have these amazing talents and skills that Will has to practice and learn to become this amazing ranger. We get to see Will as he goes on all these different adventures, and we get to see him grow up, and it's fantastic. It's so intriguing and so fun. So much adventure and excitement, and he gets to meet a whole lot of friends along the way. This is a 12-book series, so it's kind of hard to explain the whole plot with just the first book without giving any spoilers away. I would just pick this up because it's a whole lot of fun and adventure and intrigue. So pick it up and give it a go. And next I have The Land of Stories by Chris Colfer. The first book is The Wishing Spell. This is the story of the Bailey twins, who in this first book happen to fall into the fairy tale world, and they have to find a way to get back home. As they do this, they get to see how the fairy tales that we all know and love really are, and meet a whole lot of friends along the way. This is a fantastic series, and I would definitely recommend it for people who love the Magic Treehouse series. This is such a sweet and fun adventure, so I would definitely recommend picking this one up. The next one here I've heard no one talk about, and that is The Paper Magician by Charlie N. Holmberg. This is the story of Sione, who is graduating from the magical school and is about to bond with her choice of magic. Unfortunately for her, there haven't been enough people to sign up to become paper magicians, so she has been asked to become a paper magician herself. But the thing is, once you're bonded with a certain type of magic, you can't be unbonded and you can't choose anything else. So Sione begrudgingly does this, and as her mentor starts teaching her, she is really starting to fall in love with this magic. But then something happens, and she has to use the little magic that she knows to help save her mentor. And that's just where the story begins, and it's so cool. I've never seen anything like this, and the magic is just very unique. So we get to follow C&E in The Paper Magician, The Glass Magician, and The Master Magician. But this fourth book, The Plastic Magician, follows an entirely different character. We have Alvy here, who is an inventor, and we get to see an entirely different magic. This book features cameos from our favorite characters from the other three, but I really enjoyed this one as well and like this entire series. This next one I have is a little different from books that I usually read because it is a romance, and that is Never Forever by L.R. Johnson. I actually really enjoyed this book. So this follows Brianna as she goes to Cambridge University, and there she meets Callum, who is just arrogant and rude and nothing she wants to deal with, and they both have a lot of secrets to do with their past. But when something major happens between them that bonds them in an inexplicable way, they have to see if they can work things out between them. And this book has a whole lot that I can't talk about without spoiling anything, but it is really good, and although it does have the miscommunication trope, which I am not a fan of, I could not put this down, and I would definitely recommend picking it up. And next we have one of my all-time favorite books, and that is Queens of Geek by Jen Wilde. This is the story of Charlie and her two best friends, Taylor and Jamie. They all go to SuperCon to promote her new big movie. This just has most incredible fandom vibes. If you've ever wanted to go to a Comic-Con or have been, pick up this book because you will just get to go on this super fun adventure with these amazing characters and fall in love with all of them. It is just a fantastic read, and I can't give higher praise for this book. Please pick it up because it is amazing and you will not regret it. Next I have Ruby After the Fall. If you love this series, definitely pick up this book because you get to see what happens after the fall of Beacon with Team Coffee, which has both Coco and Velvet, which are two of my favorite side characters in the show. This is fantastic, and we get to learn more about their backstory and see what happens in this really cool adventure. And I have not read it yet, but the second book we get to see more of Team Sun as well. So I'm very excited to get to this one, and I would definitely recommend picking these up. And next I have Dear Martin by Nick Stone. So after Justice goes through an event that makes him see the injustice in the police system, he decides to take on the mantra, what would Martin do? And he starts to see the racism that happens between his classmates. A lot of things go down. This book is very impactful and needs to be read a whole lot more because it is very needed and should be recognized along with The Hate U Give. I really enjoyed Dear Martin, and I just finished reading Dear Justice, which follows a character we see within Dear Martin. His name is Quan. He's writing letters to Justice as he's in a detention center. We just get to learn more of his story and see how things have played out within his life. His story felt so real, and I think it surpassed Dear Martin, which is saying something because I loved this one so much. But Dear Justice was just superb and needs to be read because even those who have read Dear Martin, I don't think they've read Dear Justice, and that is a crime because it is fantastic and needs to be read. So definitely pick these up because they are well needed and definitely are underrated. Please pick them up because they need to be read. Next I have Camp Jupiter Classified, and I was not expecting to like this one as much as I did. Unlike Rick Riordan's other companion novels, this is a complete story rather than just several short stories combined. I would definitely give this one a go, especially if you're wanting to see more of Camp Jupiter. Next I have Your Welcome Universe by Whitney Gardner. This is the story of Julia, who is a tag artist and is also deaf. I loved seeing the deaf representation in this book. This book was so entertaining and insightful. I loved every minute of it, and I can't wait to get my hands on it. So definitely let me know if you've read this, and if not, I highly recommend that you do. Next, I have another 12-book series, but do not be afraid because they are really short, and that is Cirque du Freak by Darren Shan. This is a story about vampires, where the vampires are nothing like the vampires that we usually read about. So this is the story of Darren Shaw. Because of some unfortunate circumstances that happen within the first book, he is forced to become a vampire. Well, a half vampire. So because he is a half vampire, he's aging but very slowly, so we see him learn and grow and step into this role that he's never really wanted but is forced into. There is a lot that happens, but I can't say too much about it, especially without giving spoilers. One thing I really liked is that Although it is a 12-book series, each book starts off with a here's what's happened so far, so you can pick this up and remember everything that's happened within the novel without being like, who's this character again? Why is this important? I really appreciated that. And in this book, I predicted something pretty early on, and I have never been more angry about being right. The story definitely took me places that I was not expecting, and I would really recommend it because it is very interesting, and I really enjoyed it. So let me know if you read this as well. And last but certainly not least is Dark Matter by Blake Crouch. This is the story of Jason, who wakes up and his life isn't the same. His house isn't his house, his wife isn't there, and no one mentions his son. And he has to figure out what the heck is going on. And it is so trippy and so weird, but I loved every second of reading this book. When I figured out what was going on, my mind was blown. I thought this was so cool and so intriguing. Please pick this up. It is a wild ride, but it is worth it. So those are all the books that I wanted to talk about today. I'd love to know some books that you think are underrated so I can add them to my own list. So let me know in the comments down below. As always, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And don't forget to share the love. I'll see you next time. Bye!